Toji Fushiguro. Toji Fushiguro, known as the Sorcerer Killer, was a non-curse user whose superhuman abilities were unmatched. A former member of the Zenin clan, Toji was shunned due to his lack of cursed energy, which only fueled his resentment and honed his merciless combat skills. Hired to assassinate the Star Plasma vessel, Toji's battle against Gojo was intense and bloody. Despite his limitless abilities, Toji's lethal instincts allowed him to land semi-fatal blows on Gojo, temporarily incapacitating him. However, in a surprising turn, Gojo recovered using the reverse curse technique and fought Toji again, resulting in his death to Hollow Purple. Although this technique is instantaneous, the death it caused Toji certainly wasn't. The attack would seem to have completely obliterated the left side of his body, taking his left arm and leaving a gaping hole in his abdomen with exposed bone and blood flooding from his body. Toji was even still able to mutter some last words before passing on, but still standing. Rika Orimoto. Rika Orimoto was a young girl who became a childhood friend to Yuta Okatsu. After meeting at a hospital as children, they became inseparable and even promised to marry each other when they got older. However, tragedy struck when Rika was suddenly hit by a car while on a walk with Yuta. It's unclear the level of physical trauma she received from the accident, but it was enough to have heavily damaged her head, leaving a streak of blood on the road and bringing her to an end instantly. After her death at the young age of 11, Rika's spirit was transformed into a powerful curse due to Yuta's overwhelming grief and inability to accept her death. The cursed form of Rika became a special grade apparition, haunting Yuta and protecting him simultaneously. Years later, Yuta confronted his emotions and released Rika's soul, allowing her to pass on peacefully. However, the cursed energy that remained continued to manifest as a powerful force aiding Yuta in battles. Rika's death may have been quick, but it was certainly painful and emotionally devastating, as she was just a young girl with a bright future alongside Yuta in front of her. Suguru Geto. Suguru Geto was once Satoru Gojo's closest friend and a respected jujutsu sorcerer, but his ideology shifted after witnessing several human atrocities during the Hidden Inventory arc. Believing that only sorcerers should exist, Suguru became a rogue sorcerer, amassing followers and curses alike. His descent into villainy strained his relationship with Gojo, ultimately leading to a climatic battle against Yuta Okatsu in the prequel story during what would eventually be called the Night Parade of 100 Demons. Yuta used the ultimate power of Rika to deal a decisive final blow to Geto, which completely annihilated his arm and badly burned that side of his body. However, he would cling onto life as he escaped, but is then confronted by Satoru. Gojo, unable to save his former friend from his twisted path, delivered the final blow, ending Suguru's life with a heavy heart. It wouldn't be until years later that we found out his body had been taken by Kenjaku. Suguru's death was not only excruciating, as he would have gone through a great deal of pain from being maimed, but it was an emotionally painful death as well, being taken out by someone who was once his close friend. Junpei Yoshino. Junpei Yoshino was an average high school student whose life took a dark turn after he encountered cursed spirit Mahito. Initially bullied and feeling misunderstood, Junpei found solace in Mahito, who exploited his vulnerabilities. The death of his mother, Nagi, served as a breaking point, as Mahito's manipulative influence pushed Junpei further into darkness. Desperate and filled with hatred, Junpei confronted his bullies, wielding his newfound curse abilities recklessly. When Yuji intervened, there was hope that Junpei could be saved, but Mahito destroyed that hope. In front of Yuji, Mahito transformed Junpei into a grotesque transfigured human, rendering him unrecognizable. The process of having one's body and soul disfigured by Mahito's ability is undoubtedly excruciatingly painful, and to make matters worse, Junpei is seen clinging onto Yuji and begging for help. Junpei's distorted form collapsed lifelessly, leaving Yuji devastated and filled with rage, unable to prevent the death of someone he had tried to save. Riko Amanai. Riko Amanai was a young teenager who was chosen as the Star Plasma vessel, a rare individual designed to merge with Master Tengen to stabilize the barriers that protect Jujutsu society. Despite her responsibilities, Riko yearned for a normal life and had developed a bond with her protectors, Gojo and Geto. However, their mission to deliver her to Tengen was fraught with peril, as numerous groups opposed the merger. The assassin Toji Fushiguro infiltrated their defenses, ambushing them at a critical moment. Even with Gojo's overwhelming power, Toji's precision and skill proved too much. Toji ends up beating Gojo and finds his way to Geto and Riko. Just before then, Riko decides not to go through with the merger, realizing that the time she spent with Gojo and Geto made her realize she wanted to live a full life. As she reaches out for Geto's hands, she is shockingly taken out by Toji in cold-hearted fashion. Riko went out without knowing what had happened to her, as seen by the smile she still carried on her face at the moment of her death. Yu Haibara. Yu Haibara was an optimistic and talented student at Jujutsu High, beloved by his peers and particularly close to Kento Nanami. During a mission that was expected to be routine, Haibara and Nanami were said to exercise a grade 2 curse. However, the mission quickly turned deadly when they discovered the curse was far stronger than anticipated, being the curse of a local deity and likely a grade 1. At some point in the battle, Yu received fatal injuries. Although the fatal blow was covered by a blanket and seemed to be in his abdomen, the slashes on his face proved that his death was a rather nasty one. His death was a crushing blow to Nanami, who witnessed his friend's final moments and was powerless to save him. This tragedy deeply affected Nanami, influencing his decision to leave the Jujutsu world temporarily and shaping his serious demeanor in future battles. Kokichi Muta. Kokichi Muta, better known as Mekamaru, lived his life confined to a frail body due to his heavenly restriction, which granted him immense cursed energy in exchange for severe physical limitations. Seeking freedom from his painful existence, Kokichi made a deal with Mahito, betraying the Jujutsu school in exchange for a healthy body through idol transfiguration. After receiving his wish, Kokichi planned to turn on Mahito and redeem himself, but his hopes were quickly dashed. Despite Kokichi's desperate efforts to fight back with his restored body, Mahito overwhelmed him. The moment of his death was never shown in the series, but seeing how Mahito's go-to move for killing sorcerers and transforming their bodies to make them explode, it's likely this was the method used on him. As a result, it's likely that Kokichi's body was completely splattered the moment Mahito touched him, leaving nothing behind but his destroyed and blood-covered massive puppet. Naobito Zenin. Naobito Zenin, the head of the Zenin clan, was a seasoned jujutsu sorcerer known for his projection sorcery technique. During the Shibuya incident, Naobito fought against Dagon alongside Maki and Nanami, playing a crucial role in keeping the curse at bay. However, after Dagon's defeat, Jogo arrives on the scene and starts taking them out. Naobito, already weakened and injured from the previous battle with a missing arm, was caught in one of Jogo's blasts and suffered severe burns. His entire upper half was completely fried, but miraculously he survived the assault, although he eventually succumbs to the injuries and dies. This death is a particularly brutal one, as Naobito had to endure the upper half of his body being so severely burned that it completely melted away his skin for at least several days. Mimiko and Nanako Hasaba. Mimiko and Nanako Hasaba were curse users who were saved and adopted by Suguru Geto after he killed the villagers who had abused and imprisoned them. The twins were fiercely loyal to Geto and followed him throughout his battles, assisting him with their curse abilities. After Geto's death and possession by Kenjaku, Mimiko and Nanako sought revenge, pleading with Sukuna to kill Kenjaku. However, Sukuna, annoyed by their desperate demands, dismissed them outright. Without warning, he blew Mimiko's head off with a flick of his finger, killing her instantly. Nanako's death was markedly more painful, as she had to endure the rage of watching her sister be killed before being dismantled into hundreds of tiny chunks of flesh by the King of Curses. Haruta Shigemo. Haruta Shigemo was a sadistic curse user who delighted in causing chaos and misery wherever he went. During the Shibuya incident, he took joy in taking out weaker opponents, but only survived encounters with stronger sorcerers due to his Miracles curse technique, which allows him to store miracles in the tattoos under his eyes and use them to save his life in dire situations. After narrowly escaping death at the hands of Nanami, Shigemo continued his spree until he crossed paths with Megumi and then Sukuna. After beating Maharaga, Sukuna sliced Haruta vertically in half. What makes this especially brutal visually is the fact that he was split in half in a way that the front half was separated from the back half of his body, making the death likely more painful and certainly more graphic. Kento Nanami. Kento Nanami was a reliable and skilled jujutsu sorcerer who played a major role in the series until his death. Known for his calm demeanor and pragmatic approach to combat, Nanami was a mentor figure to Yuji Itadori and an unwavering force of stability in the chaos of the jujutsu world. During the Shibuya incident, Nanami was gravely injured by Dagon's domain, seeing him have large chunks of his flesh eaten by his Shikigami piranhas. The suffering doesn't end there though, because soon after Dagon's defeat, He's hit by Jogo's flames point blank, suffering severe burns that left him barely clinging to life. Despite his injuries, Nanami continued to fight, pushing himself to protect others. However, when he encountered Mahito, his luck ran out. In a final act of cruelty, Mahito used his idol transfiguration technique to blow apart Nanami's upper body, killing him instantly. Nanami's death was not only a heavily emotional one, but it was undoubtedly one of the most painful and graphic in the series, as he had to live through severe burns that exposed skull just to be blown to pieces by Mahito, leaving behind only a lower half with an exposed spine sticking out. Zenin Clan Massacre. The events of the Zenin Clan Massacre involved the graphic end of almost every clan member, although most of them were not actually seen in the series. The following deaths were put on full display as these members of the clan were highlighted casualties of her slaughter. Ogi Zenin. The first to go during Maki's rampage is Ogi Zenin, a proud but bitter member of the Zenin clan, who had always believed he deserved to be the clan head. He harbored a deep hatred for his daughters, Mai and Maki, whom he considered weak and unworthy. Seizing the opportunity to kill them, Ogi brutally attacked his daughters, showing no mercy. However, after Mai's sacrifice, Maki used the weapon her sister created to cut Ogi's head in half, killing him instantly before he could realize what happened. From there, Maki goes on to take out the clan's strongest members in succession. Chojuro Zenin. Chojuro Zenin was a minor but formidable member of the Zenin family's elite unit, the Hei. Tasked with stopping Maki's rampage through the clan, Chojuro utilized his innate technique, Earth Arms, which allowed him to conjure massive stone hands to crush his opponents. As Maki stormed the Zenin estate, Chojuro attempted to subdue her by clasping her between his stone constructs. However, Maki's newfound strength rendered Chojuro's efforts futile. She shattered the stone hands with ease and swiftly killed Chojuro by cutting his head clean off. Jinichi Zenin. Jinichi Zenin, another key figure in the Zenin clan's Hei unit, was known for his destructive curse technique that could unleash powerful missile-like fists propelled by cursed energy. As Maki tore through the Zenin estate, Jinichi and Ranta coordinated their attacks, hoping to overpower her through sheer force. Despite his confidence and tactical skill, Jinichi's attacks were rendered ineffective against Maki's unstoppable onslaught. In a brutal and decisive move, Maki severed Jinichi's head, tossing it into the lake as a final act of defiance against the clan that had sought to destroy her. Ranta Zenin. Ranta Zenin was another minor character in the Zenin clan's Hei unit, using a technique that utilized his vision but left his eyes susceptible to damage. His eyeballs were left destroyed and bloodied by Maki, before likely being beheaded like the rest of the Hei unit before him. Naoya Zenin. Naoya Zenin was the arrogant and self-proclaimed heir of the Zenin clan, known for his inherited projection sorcery technique. After witnessing Maki's relentless slaughter of his clan members, Naoya confronted her in a fierce battle, determined to prove his superiority. Despite his impressive skills, Naoya was ultimately outmatched by Maki. Severely wounded by a blow that seemed to even cave in the part of his face, Naoya was left lying on the ground, defeated but not dead. In a shocking twist, Maki's mother delivered the final blow, stabbing Naoya with an ordinary knife. Naoya's death was not the end, however, as he later returned as a vengeful spirit due to not being killed with cursed energy. Ultimately, Maki and Noritoshi Kamo defeated his spirit, putting an end to Naoya's tormenting presence once and for all. Although his death seemed less painful than many on this list, it certainly was slow and extremely humiliating for him. Masamichi Yaga. Masamichi Yaga was the kind-hearted yet stern principal of Tokyo Jujutsu High, known for his ability to create cursed corpses and for being a guiding figure to many young sorcerers. Despite his generally peaceful nature, Yaga found himself targeted by the higher-ups of the Jujutsu world, who sought to eliminate him under the pretense of conspiracy. Ordered to be executed due to his alleged ties to Suguru Geto and the chaotic events surrounding Gojo's absence, Yaga's death was a result of political maneuvering rather than combat. Yoshinobu Gakuganji, one of the elders who once held respect for Yaga, was forced to carry out the execution. Although the exact blow that killed him was never shown in action, his tattered, bloody body showed that his death was not peaceful. Aside from this, Yaga's death was more of an emotionally brutal one, as he was a beloved teacher who showed kindness and understanding in a jujutsu world that was severely lacking in that area. Yuki Tsukumo. Yuki Tsukumo was a special grade sorcerer and one of the most powerful female characters in Jujutsu Kaisen. Known for her unconventional methods and powerful Star Rage technique, Yuki stayed behind to protect Master Tengen during the plan to unseal Gojo. During the Kenjaku's attempt to take control of Tengen, it pushed the ancient sorcerer farther than anyone had at that point. Despite her formidable skills and Choso's support, Yuki was ultimately overwhelmed by Kenjaku's cunning strategies and unparalleled curse techniques. She was eventually flattened by one of his mysterious abilities, leaving her badly injured with a mangled arm that was barely hanging onto the bone. Then, she was hit with a compressed Uzumaki attack that split her body in half. In her final moments, she activated her curse technique to produce a small black hole in the hopes of taking Kenjaku down with her. Satoru Gojo. Satoru Gojo was the strongest sorcerer in Jujutsu Kaisen, revered and feared for his unmatched power and charisma. As the de facto leader of the Jujutsu world's younger generation, Gojo's presence was a symbol of hope and strength for his allies. However, after being sealed in the prison realm during the Shibuya incident, the balance of power drastically shifted in favor of the curses. Gojo's eventual return was a moment of triumph, but it was short-lived, as he found himself facing the king of curses, Sukuna, in a climatic battle of the strongest. The fight was an epic display of curse techniques and raw power, with Gojo pushing his abilities to the absolute limit. Despite his overwhelming strength, Gojo was ultimately outmatched by Sukuna's cunning and unpredictability. He was caught off guard by Sukuna's new world-cutting slash that sliced him in half. The slash itself was never shown, but the aftermath showed a graphic scene with Gojo's lower body still standing, while his left arm and the upper half were cut clean off. In the end, Gojo was seen smiling as Sukuna complimented his impressive strength, alluding to the fact that he did not die instantly, but eventually succumbed to the lethal attack in bloody pieces. Choso. Choso was introduced as an antagonist aligned with the curses, but gradually became a key ally to Yuji Itadori after discovering their shared familial bond. As the eldest of the death painting wombs, Choso's loyalty shifted from his cursed origins to protecting Yuji, who he came to see as a younger brother. During the Shibuya incident, Choso's protective instincts led him to sacrifice himself in a confrontation with Sukuna. In a heroic and selfless act, Choso used his own body as a shield to protect Yuji from Sukuna's divine flames. The result of this attack left Choso completely charred from head to toe, making him appear as a mummified corpse barely clinging to life. As he sat dying, Choso expressed gratitude for his newfound connection with Yuji, cherishing the brief time he had spent as a brother and living life as a human instead of a curse. The severe burns Choso experienced were without a doubt extremely painful, but the emotional impact his death brought made the event that much worse, bringing an end to one of the more beloved characters and fulfilling character arcs in the series. Let us know if we missed anyone and if you would like to see them in a part 2. In the meantime, click the video on your screen to learn about the most painful deaths in the series Berserk, and we'll see you there.